Steelers Nation, every week feels like a brand new chapter in a season that refuses to slow down, and this time the conversation has shifted to something that fans love to debate but often misunderstand. Who actually matters once the ball is snapped? People get caught up in the idea of who walks onto the field for the very first play, as if that moment alone tells the entire story. But in National Football League, especially on a roster like Pittsburgh's, the real truth is hidden deeper in the flow of the game. Opening assignments are almost ceremonial. What counts is who stays out there when the tempo rises, when the matchups get tight, and when the coaching staff starts revealing what they actually believe about each player. You could see that clearly in the wide receiver rotation. One guy appears on the official depth chart, another jogs out first during the broadcast, but by the time the afternoon ends, the snap counts tell a completely different tale. Calvin Austin might still hold the starter label on paper, yet his presence was limited, almost as if the designation had nothing to do with the role the staff envisioned for him. Ben Skowronek, someone many expected to stay buried deep in the rotation, barely saw the field at all, touching the ball only in situations where the play design forced his involvement. And then you look at Roman Wilson, who continues to surge forward like someone who suddenly flipped the switch and realized he belongs in the spotlight. Over the past couple of weeks, his snap count has climbed in a way that leaves no doubt. The coaches are trusting him more and more, and he's starting to show a command of the route tree and game speed that feels far ahead of what rookies usually display. That slow elevation through real minutes has created an unexpectedly intense spotlight on the defensive side, specifically on James Pierre. What happened with him has been impossible to ignore. While fans focused on the receiver rotations, Pierre quietly put together one of the strongest performances by anyone wearing black and gold that day. He was sharp in coverage, physical in his assignments, and quick to diagnose plays that normally cause defensive backs trouble. It was one of those efforts where you could feel his presence on every drive, the kind of outing that forces fans and analysts to re-examine their expectations of the depth chart. And then came the press conference. When the head coach was asked about the status of the veteran corner returning from injury and whether that player would reclaim the outside spot regardless of Pierre's performance, the answer dropped like a thunderclap. If healthy, the veteran plays. There was no hesitation, no hedging, just a straightforward declaration. And that was enough to ignite Pittsburgh's entire fan base instantly. How could anyone watch the game Pierre just had and believe he should step aside without a fight? How could a player who has struggled this season walk straight into full responsibilities again? Those were the questions circulating online before the press conference had even ended. But here's the thing that tends to get overlooked. The coach was not laying out a rigid promise. He was describing the starting point of the plan, not the full script. Pittsburgh operates with a fluid approach whenever matchups begin unfolding. One blown assignment, one mistimed step, one moment where a receiver gains too much separation and the next man is already warming up along the sideline. The veteran may walk out on the first series, but that doesn't mean he stays. The league moves too fast for stubbornness, and this staff has shown repeatedly that the guy who performs better in real time will see the field. Snap counts, which used to be hidden information, now make everything transparent. Every fan can see exactly how many plays each athlete earns, and that leaves no room for excuses. If someone is outplaying someone else, the numbers expose it immediately. And that transparency isn't always the coach's favorite thing. He has never enjoyed being asked about why one player got a certain number of snaps while another barely touched the turf. Those questions drag him into a space he prefers to avoid, especially because they tug at something players talk about constantly between themselves. Everyone in the locker room knows their own snap number. They compare it, they judge it, they wonder whether the distribution reflects trust or strategy or simply the chaos of the game. The coach prefers to operate by feel. He reacts to the game as it unfolds rather than checking a spreadsheet. That approach sometimes looks visionary, particularly when a hot hand gets more opportunities. But other times it leaves fans pulling their hair out, like when a dynamic back barely sees the field despite running wild the previous week, or when an athletic tight end goes underused for reasons no one can quite grasp. Even with all that, one thing remains consistent. When he says a player will be part of the rotation, he means it. And when he says someone will get their chance if they perform, that holds true too. Which brings the conversation back to Pierre. The idea that the veteran corner will reclaim every snap just because he used to hold the job doesn't line up with how the season has played out so far. Pierre has been too sharp, too confident, and too productive to be relegated to the background. His numbers back it up. He has been targeted plenty of times, often because offenses assume they can exploit the so-called backup, yet he continually responds with tight coverage and smart positioning. Even the yards he allows tell a story. Almost nothing through the air, most of it coming only after the receiver has already been wrapped up. For corner forced into action more frequently, that kind of efficiency stands out in a big way. He didn't just deliver a strong outing. He delivered the type of performance that changes expectations. And if the veteran starts the next game, no one should interpret that as Pierre being pushed aside. What will matter is what happens in the following series, and the one after that, and the one after that. If the veteran struggles, the adjustment will come quickly. If Pierre continues producing at this level, he will be back on the field just as fast as he left it. The staff knows what he has put on tape this season. They've seen him handle difficult assignments. They've seen quarterbacks test him and pay for it. And that kind of consistency is too valuable for any team fighting for momentum. And even with all of that swirling around the secondary, the situation on offense began stirring up its own wave of curiosity, especially when the quarterback questions resurfaced. Pittsburgh has lived through plenty of quarterback debates over the past few seasons, and this one added a new twist because it came wrapped in uncertainty about health, timing, and how much the staff was willing to reveal to the outside world. Fans started wondering whether the team was quietly preparing for a different starter while keeping the information tucked away, letting Chicago guess and stress over who would actually line up under center. It is the kind of speculation that spreads fast, because gamesmanship is a real part of this league, and every team tries to mask what they can when they believe it might offer even the smallest competitive edge. But listening closely to the coach's comments, it was hard to ignore how unusually open he sounded. This was not the guarded, clipped approach he normally uses whenever an injury is involved. Instead, he went on at length about the quarterback's condition, the timing of their conversations, the evaluation process, the medical considerations, and even the simple fact that some questions could not be answered until the end of the week. It was the type of explanation he rarely gives in that much detail, which made it feel more candid than strategic. When he mentioned that the injured quarterback would not participate in practice that day, and hinted strongly that he probably would not be out there the following day either, the picture froze into place. All signs pointed in one direction. The team was preparing as if they would need someone else running the offense in Chicago. That is why the idea of Mason Rudolph stepping into the starting role did not feel like a secret plot or a smokescreen. It felt like the natural progression of circumstances. He stepped in recently and handled himself with poise, delivering a performance that kept the offense balanced and calm at a moment when they desperately needed stability. For a backup, that is one of the greatest compliments you can give. Backups are asked to be steady, not rattled, ready to walk into chaos and smooth it out. And he did exactly that, enough to make the coaching staff comfortable with leaning on him again if the injured starter could not return in time. The other layer to this is the medical one, because no one inside the building is going to risk worsening a fracture when the season still has a long road ahead. Pain tolerance is one thing. Structural stability is another entirely. The medical staff has to determine the danger level, and only after that evaluation can the coaches even begin to think about pushing someone into action. That's the part fans often forget. It does not matter how badly a player wants to fight through discomfort or how important the game feels in the moment. If there is a chance that stepping on the field could turn a short-term setback into a long-term absence, the decision becomes simple. The risk is too high. So when you combine the injury evaluation, the limited practice availability, the open explanations from the coach, and the fact that Rudolph just put together a solid showing, the most reasonable conclusion becomes obvious. He is the one who appears most ready to lead the offense into this next matchup. It does not guarantee anything permanent. It does not signal a long-term shift. It simply reflects the reality of this week. The team needs reliability, and right now he offers exactly that. Another interesting detail from the press conference was the mention of the rookie quarterback who would serve as the backup if Rudolph does get the starting nod. The young passer has been a popular storyline among fans since the day he arrived. People love imagining the future, wondering what he might look like once he has real command of the system. And even though he is not stepping into the spotlight yet, being elevated to the number 2 role for this game would give him valuable experience, even if it is only through preparation and sideline observation. Quarterbacks grow from being thrown into unexpected moments, but they also grow from feeling the weight of a week where they are one play away from taking the field. The quarterback situation may grab the dramatic headlines, but in reality it mirrors the same theme running through the entire roster. This season has become a test of adaptability. Every unit has dealt with shifts in usage, surprise contributors, and injury complications. The defense has fought through missing pieces while still finding ways to pressure, tackle, and disrupt. The offense has experienced ups and downs as players shuffle in and out, forming new combinations on the fly. Through all of this, the staff has been forced to juggle instincts with planning, adjusting the blueprint constantly while trying to maintain some sense of identity. And even though the outside noise grows louder anytime the depth chart becomes unclear, inside the building the focus remains much simpler. Players know the only thing that truly secures their role is performance. You can be listed as a starter and still lose snaps if someone else proves more effective in real time. You can begin the season buried deep on the roster and climb your way into meaningful action through hard work, smart play, and consistency. The tape always speaks. The snap counts confirm it, and eventually the coaches respond to it. That is why the current moment feels so important. Pierre's rise, Wilson's emergence, Rudolph's steady hand, the veteran corner's uncertain return, the rookie quarterback stepping into the backup slot. All of it reflects a team in motion, a roster reshaping itself as the weeks roll on. Nothing is set in stone. Nothing is given away. Every game becomes another chance for someone unexpected to carve out a bigger role or for a returning starter to prove they can reclaim their spot. And Chicago presents exactly that kind of stage. The opponent may not define the season, but the opportunity certainly does. It is another chance for a defensive back who has earned every compliment to show he should never leave the field. Another chance for a young receiver to prove he is ready for even more responsibility. Another chance for a quarterback stepping into temporary leadership to stabilize a unit that has struggled at times to find rhythm. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Shockwaves are rippling through the NFL universe as whispers turn into a frenzy online. One of the Baltimore Ravens' top wide receivers has reportedly agreed to join the Pittsburgh Steelers. The news, still unconfirmed officially, has sent fans on both sides of the rivalry into a frenzy, flooding social media with disbelief, anger, and endless memes. For years, the Ravens-Steelers matchup has been one of the fiercest in the league, a rivalry steeped in decades of playoff battles, hard hits, and dramatic finishes. Now, the supposed betrayal of a key Ravens offensive weapon threatens to rewrite the narrative entirely. On forums and Twitter threads, fans are calling it the ultimate betrayal, with some insisting this is worse than any free agent loss in recent memory. Others, meanwhile, are speculating about what prompted the move. Was it money, championship aspirations, or something more personal behind the scenes? Analysts are chiming in, drawing up scenarios where this wide receiver could instantly transform the Steelers' passing game, creating a dynamic duo that could haunt the Ravens for years. The rumor has also reignited debates over loyalty in the NFL, with pundits questioning whether fan allegiance is respected in a league where contracts and opportunities can change overnight. Meanwhile, Ravens supporters are expressing a mix of shock and fury. Fan pages and comment sections are exploding with reactions ranging from, "I can't believe he'd do this to us," to "We'll never forgive this." Steelers fans, predictably, are celebrating with a mix of glee and disbelief, as if their team just pulled off a secret heist right under Baltimore's nose. The sheer audacity of this potential signing has become the trending topic across NFL circles, with memes and GIFs portraying the move as a scandal worthy of soap opera-level drama. Of course, as with any rumor, there's a cloud of uncertainty. No official announcement has come from either team, and insiders caution that deals like this can fall apart at any moment. Yet, the speculation alone has created a whirlwind, dominating sports chatter and fueling a firestorm that shows no signs of dying down. Whether this move materializes or not, it has already left its mark. The Ravens-Steelers rivalry has just grown even more combustible, and fans are bracing for what could be one of the most talked about shifts in recent NFL memory. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.